Hey people, Fernando doing another video for the channel, and yes, time again to talk about Star Citizen. Now, quick answer to your question, is it still worth playing? It's still worth your 45 bucks. Let's leave it at that. I mean, this is the same thing I've been saying all along. 45 bucks, get yourself the cheapest ship in game, don't spend a single cent more. Be warned, the marketing strategy that they have is, best in the industry. They will convince you that you need to buy this cool ship. Trust me, they're mostly broken. Most of them simply don't work as you would expect. You don't want to know what it feels like to spend 200 real live money dollars in a ship and then realize that the following day it's broken and it's gonna stay broken for several years. You don't want to go through that. So believe me that yes, worth playing still. I wouldn't be doing the video if it's not. But it's worth only your 45 bucks. If you want to spend 50, get yourself a cutter or whatever it is, that's up to you. If you want to go spend $10,000 in this thing, be my guest, right? It's just your money, but for most mortals, it's simply not worth it. And I would even argue that even if you do have, insane amounts of money and you can just spend anything you want without even blinking, I would still encourage you not to, because it is encouraging the company not to do their job. And let me explain why this is. It has gotten to a point where Star Citizen is simply a business. And you may be thinking, yes, Fernando, all businesses are just businesses. All companies are mostly inclined in making money. Yeah, absolutely. That is 100% correct. The problem that we have here, though, is that unlike, let's say, Bethesda, that is looking to release Starfield in the near future, right? They will make their money once Starfield is released. And if Starfield works great, they will make a lot of money. That is a different business model than what Star Citizen has going on. CIG, Chris Roberts, they have a completely different business model which revolves around selling ships and revolves around not having much a point in finishing this game. Most of the community has understood that, yeah, you will probably never see Star Citizen completed, and as I said myself in previous videos, I have no problem with that. Now, having said all of that, having said that, I have no problem with this never being fully released. The problem I do have is that I just realized something about the business model that not only revolves around selling very expensive ships, which it is their right. You can sell whatever you want, people can buy whatever you want. Now, the problem is that the business model not only revolves around perpetuity in terms of development, it also revolves around minimal amount of expense in actual development while monetizing and profiting as much as possible. So, what a lot of people don't understand about this game is that the amount of progress being made, the amount of content added each year is minimal. It is barely minimal enough so as to keep them on the right side of the law. What I mean by this is, if CIG would not make a minimal amount of progress each year, this would really truly be a scam. They would just take your money and not do anything with it. They just sell you ships for a game that they're not truly developing. So as to stay on the safe legal side, they have to make some progress each year. How much progress? Bare bones minimal. Skeleton crew. They claim they're working on a bunch of different things, but as we all know, it's a lot about claiming to do things. It's very little about actual game development. And the proof is right here. You see it. The proof is in how much content have you seen in 2022? Very, very, very little. How much progress have you seen in, well, all year round? Very little. There's just not a whole lot of it. And that's where this, gets disappointing. I liked to think that, yeah, we are giving them money, we're financing this company, and they will give us content. Well, not so much. It is a bare bone minimal amount of progress made. Not even much content at all, really. It's just bare bones minimal progress made, and just enough so as to keep them out of jail at this point. And it is sad, it's very disappointing, but The solution for this is don't give them any more money. The less money you give them, the more progress they will be inclined to make, because the more they will be forced into going into a more traditional business model for companies that make video games. The traditional business model is, yes, we need to make stuff, we need to develop an actual game, we need to deliver a game if we want to see money. If we want them to give us money, we need to make more of this stuff, right? That is the way in which this will only progress. If not, if we stick to this model of becoming an ATM for the CIG, for Chris Roberts, for the Chris Roberts family, right? If this becomes a business model that simply revolves around hyping and hyping eternally and marketing and promising ships, and I mean there's ships that have been sold that are in just in concept that have been pushed back for 5-10 years. There's no limit to this. There's no end to this unless people stop giving them money for pretty much no reason whatsoever. If this continues, I assure you, the amount of progress you'll see will never increase. It will always be stuck in perpetual development at a bare bones skeleton crew level and nothing more. And as of right now, that's what you have. I'm playing, this is 3.18. What is it you have in 3.18? Almost nothing really. It's just, it is concerning. At this point, it is really worrying that the amount of progress that you have in 3.18, it is very little. Yes, there's guys working on, the content creators, that they have their their priorities, selling you the idea that, yeah, it's almost there, and some are more, critical than others, right? But at the end of the day, you're still looking at very little progress, and the agenda that many content creators have revolve around still, being a little bit more critical, sometimes being just downright shills, because let's be honest about that as well. You have shills making content each and every day, making content out of nothing. There is very little. I mean, Salty Mike and Grumpy Eye would be some of the more honest guys out there in the Star Citizen world, and they still try to make content out of thin air because, right, your channel revolves around that, so yeah. But as you notice, I haven't been doing a lot of Star Citizen content because there's simply none. All of 2022, and given that it's a new channel and that I'm just covering Star Citizen this last year, there's more of the legacy stuff that I address. But other than that, there's just not a whole lot more. And I'll be honest with you, 3.18, bare bones. A little bit of the relics here and there. I was just in Security Station Korea, and I cleared my crime stat. It is a little bit different. But man, I would at least expect, and one of the things that upsets me the most is, because I've been honest, even posting in Spectrum, I got banned several times. Last time was for over a week. I mean, you're financing this, and you're getting banned simply because you're honest and upfront about what you're seeing with your own two eyes. That is very upsetting. But wrapping this up, not taking more of your time, 3.18, it is, and the persistence, barely there at this level. Sometimes you're surprised because stuff does persist. Sometimes you lose stuff that you've had in stations all week long, and it just goes back to a saving that it obviously was several days old, right? That's where it is right now. But the amount of progress, the amount of additional content, man, with a $600 million game, you would expect at least every year to have the equivalent of a DLC from a AAA game. You would at least expect to have the content that No Man's Sky has or Cyberpunk has with a lot less money. No. Money is funneled into the profit, it's funneled into the bank accounts of the owners of the company, and the only progress you see is the minimal required by law so as to not make this by definition a scam. That is where we are right now, guys, and believe me, it will not change anytime soon because funding keeps breaking records. And if, as it is, The business model is the most profitable ever. Why change anything? Guys, see you on our next video. Take care.